Yeah, I want to go over some interesting twists on the pad type Rife machines. And I guess they're not really Rife machines per se because Royal Rife used radio waves. He did not use pad type machines. He did not touch the patient with electricity. He used the wet radio waves. So I'm calling it pad type Rife machines, but actually they're made by Royal Rife's assistant, John Francis Crane. And here's his trade certificate from the state of California. He was a machinist. And, Royal Rife was a machinist also. If you don't know who Royal Rife was, he was the man who purportedly came up the end of cancer. That's what they said back in the 1930s by using radio waves to kill the cancer virus, the cancer BX or BY virus, the two main viri that cause cancer. But John Crane came up with some interesting ideas using pad-type Rife machines, which they touch the patients with pads and they put like a frequency through the patients to put that resonant vibration to supposedly kill whatever bad microbes there are. Now, I'm going to actually tell you this. There's actually a caveat that some of the stuff, well, I think out of all his patients that were very severely ill, none of them really survived. So it wasn't the real McCoy that Rife did, but I'm going to actually lead you up into something here that actually can tell you and shed some light where the success rate may go up a lot more. Now, first off, I was looking at John Crane's work, and I was taking this off the consolidated annotated frequency list, and I was like looking at it, and I says, let me put this all in a spreadsheet. Now, there's one isn't in here. This is 3.915 hertz. That's half the Schumann Earther frequency, but all the rest of them, it's a very, very extensive list that John Crane put together. And basically, he put these frequencies together off of lesser octaves of the original Rife frequencies. Like if you divide them out a certain way, that's what you come up with. But like some of the frequencies are more important than others because like 20. If you see this big list here, 20, frequency 20. A lot of people that use this type of stuff, they'll use 20 as one of the big numbers. And get down, it's, this is all what John Crane was talking about, this whole list here. 465, you can see that's a big, long list. And 727, and get down here, 727. Actually, split the difference, 727.5 between 727 and 728. But 727 and 728 cover all that, a lot. That's a major one. 776, another major one. Well, actually, 787, a major one. 776 is pretty big. 787, 800, and 880. Those are the big ones. They're pretty much, but there's other ones that are very important. Now, I just compiled this list because I was looking at what did John Crane really recommend. I looked up complete early Crane. You can see that right here. Now, I want to actually state something here to just cut to the chase. See, this generally didn't, well, it didn't work if the person was severely ill. Well, but what Royal Rife did with the radio wave frequencies, which you were not allowed to be transmitting per the FDA later on, and John Crane came up with this deal, you could not, it's still probably good. But I'm going to bring up something where probably the problem is this can make it a lot more effective because it didn't work on severely injured sick people. I shouldn't have said injured. I meant to say sick people. That did not work in them. It was not the same thing as Royal Rife did. But it's useful. Let me put it that way. There's a lot of people, those frequencies I mentioned, 20, 465, 727 or 727 to 728, split the difference. 787, 800, and 880. Very, very commonly used in pretty much most of the sessions. They call Rife sessions today to really like the John Crane sessions, Rife's assistant, where the electricity actually touches the patient with pads, not using radio frequencies. It's actually going through the body itself. Hopefully I'm clear on this, but I want to just bring up a caveat where it may be improved greatly. And this is actually from Hulda Clark. Now, I know people say Hulda Clark this and that. You know, there's like diehard fans and there's diehard detractors. But I think there's something where she came up with some of her basics are like very rock solid. This lady did do a lot of empirical evidence and scientific evidence coming up with a lot of this stuff that is like the main basis of what she said to do. But she talked about, you know, using this, applying this voltage to the body itself. She says parasites can be killed with a very small voltage, but only if the voltage is varied up and down repeatedly, right? So in other words, it's square wave. Goes up and down. Normally, the square wave goes up positive, then down negative, and up positive and down negative, like that. But she's saying do not use any negative, only use positive. Up positive and down. Not even, you got to have it even a little bit above zero, because she says if varying the voltage becomes negative, even momentarily, it supports and maintains their lives. Talking about the parasites, the viri, the microbes, the bacteria, or whatever. So I started thinking, I says, you know, this is not really like taking a lot of rocket scientists here, because, say for instance, you're using this 3.9 or 4 frequency, and you're trying to address, say, cancer, right? Which is down by like 720, 7.5. This is one of the cancer frequencies. It mentions it here: cancer general, cancer leukemia, cancer pain, cancer prostate, whatever. You know, that's one of them. You know, there's a few other ones too. But say you're using that 4 or something else, or you're using 20 or something like that. Well, if you're varying the frequency negative, and positive, she's stating varying the voltage becomes negative even momentarily, it supports and maintains her lives. She realizes that there is a mortal frequency. She says it right here. She realizes that they have a mortal frequency, a mortal oscillatory rate. But she's saying it doesn't need to be known or used when the square wave of electricity is totally positive. But say, for instance, you know the mortal rate, or at least you're guessing at it and you think you know it. And it should be more effective applying positive offset, as she recommends, and the mortal oscillatory rate combined. But, you know, I started thinking about what John Crane did, because he was unsuccessful on a really bad off patients that were like, you know, on death's door. He didn't work the way Royal Rife did it. But I started thinking, I says, you know, maybe, you know, it's because people were using cancer frequencies for cancer, which maybe that was helping, but maybe they were using other frequencies for detox of the lymphs, pain management, I don't know, other things. You know, just there's a whole list, there's a whole hodgepodge of a list. But these frequencies were going positive and negative. See, John Crane didn't know about this part that Hulda Clark found out later on. So I'm thinking, you know, what you really want to do is combine the both of them together. See, here it is 3.9 hertz, or 3.915 actually. It's half the human Earth frequency. That's a healing and regeneration right here. It says it right here, healing and regeneration and healing. So is 4. This is the Bob Beck frequency on his Bob Beck Zapper. This actually improves your energy. It's like, I don't know what it does something. It's like makes you feel more energetic. But if it varies the voltage, negative and positive. So in certain, you know, it may be knocking out quite a bit of microbes in the blood. But then again, if you're looking at what Hulda Clark says, if the voltage goes even negative, even momentarily, it supports and maintains their lives. She puts a big exclamation point after this. This is her words. You know, in caps, negative. If it go, you know, do not do this. Don't do that. So, you know, I'm looking at this deal with even a lot of these other popular zappers, like say Bob Beck has a zapper. It's 3.915 hertz, or he's not alive anymore, but healing and regeneration, and it could be You know, first off, it's the wrong frequency for cancer or things like that anyway. But you don't know. It could even be helping it a little bit. It could be. You might be feeling more energy. You might be feeling better. But it might be helping viri at the same time. Now, the one thing I did hear about with this is malaria. And you notice right up here, this it's actually right here on this side. If I got to move it over, malaria right here. If that's on frequency 4, and a lot of the zappers aren't that accurate. So, if you make this zapper with these, resistors and stuff, and everybody's making them, cobbling them together, they're not microprocessor controlled. The zapper could actually even be on 3.95 or 3.98 or 4 hertz or 4.1. There's been reported, some people that probably swore up and down that the Bob Beck zapper worked on malaria. And that starts to make sense, because malaria is a disease of the blood primarily. So you're electrifying the blood, and you're applying a frequency that is touted to be, I got to say touted to be, but, because it's like, I don't have a special microscope to look at this stuff and see what it does and do a whole bunch of patients. I can't do that anyway, but I'm really trying to put out the best information, because I've heard people, I've heard a lot of garbage too, but I'm trying to say I think it's probably solid that sometimes the Bob Beck blood electrifier does work against something serious like malaria. But as far as cancer or something like that, yeah, I don't know about that deal. And it might actually be making it worse, because what she's saying here, if the voltage varies negative, even momentarily, it supports and maintains the lives of the viri, the parasites, or whatever. And, with the Bob Beck electrifier, you're only actually, you're only electrifying the blood. You're not electrifying the lymph system. It's like it's not getting in a lot of areas. So, but it's the wrong frequency for many things. It's healing and regeneration, energy production, that type of stuff. So you feel better, but it might not be the whole thing. I know it's worked for more people. It puts out more volts, though. That's the other thing, too. So supposedly it really could stun any kind of critters going by in the blood, and it probably does more than just that frequency. But frequency counts a lot. So I was looking at, I put these words over here, my. Now, I was looking at this thing. It's actually the My Zapper. And my computer's like slow here, man. It's actually, it does 88 different frequencies, and here it is. Wow, come on, baby. Here it is. It's a picture of it. I got this coming on the way, but it's got 12 different modes. But I found very interesting was mode, well, they're all interesting modes. 10, 11, and 12 are interesting in themselves, too, because 11 and 12 can replace the Beck zapper. No problem. But it's only doing positive offset. It's not going negative at all. Not in the least. And it does put out a good amount of current. So, it's actually doing this, the 3.915 and a 4, which are both healing and regeneration. So you could do that safely without the worry of, making parasites live and thrive better. So I was looking at My Zapper, and actually I did another spreadsheet out here, and I was looking at this in detail under the Clark scalars, but the specifications. It's got 88 different frequencies that I counted. I put this in, and it's got these modes it runs through. Mode 1, it got all these it goes through, and I was calculating the octal, because a 50% duty cycle hits 3, 5, 7, so on, but let's just say 3, 5, and 7. And since it's microprocessor controlled and crystal microprocessor controlled, it's highly accurate. That's another drawback with zappers. Most of them are off by quite a bit from the frequency, and if you are off like less even a half of 1%, hang it up. It ain't gonna work. And that's another reason a lot of these zappers don't work. But this is the only one on the market that is actually crystal controlled, microprocessor controlled, and even more accurate than many of the full-size frequency generators. But it fits in your hand like a cell phone or something, or a thicker cell phone. But getting down here on the bottom here, like it does, antibacterial fungal mode, antibacterial mode, antifungal mode, antiviral mode, antifungal mode, and other Rife modes, Clark modes. It hits 90% of the Clark frequencies. It's got the MX mode, a mixture, and then it has down here. I don't know hopefully if I'm getting this on here because, how about that? Muscular pain and injury pesticide detox, according to John Crane. That's frequency 1. And healing and regeneration, 3.915, half the Schumann Earth frequency per John Beck. And regeneration and healing. Actually, John Crane knew all this stuff first. Bob Beck took it from him later on. So, it's almost like an exaggeration when you look at his device versus having a multi-frequency pad type. Let's call it a John Crane machine. It's really what it is. It's a Rife's assistant type. But it's where I think it's going to be more effective and maybe be more successful than what John Crane did is that all these frequencies are 100% positive offset. In other words, they do not vary negative even 1 iota. Not at all. And they're all 100% pure square wave with a 50% duty cycle exactly. So if you don't have the correct duty cycle, what happens is if it varies, the frequencies, it doesn't produce those the 3, 5, and 7 octals and make more frequencies. They all run into each other. It's a mess. But yet she claims that the positive offset will also supercharge your white blood cells. And I'm assuming I'm really understanding what's going on here now, because our normal body cells are actually oppositely charged from past parasites. So the positive offset is actually shorting out the positively charged parasites and acting as an electron donor to the slightly negatively charged human blood cells, like the white blood cells, and charging them up even more. It goes along with alkaline and acidic. Acidic pH is actually positively charged. Alkaline pH, like a normal healthy body cell, is negatively charged. This is why she wanted only the electricity to be going in one direction. Because if you're doing negative pulses, it's actually shorting out the body's healthy cells. If you just did 100% negative offset, that's not good, no matter what frequency it's on, and it's helping the parasites. So it's a combination of using the mortal oscillatory rate, the right frequency, plus using positive offset. And this is the only one that has that deal. But then I was looking over here and I says, what's the deal with how many frequencies? He covers very much in this My ParaZapper, very much all the main stuff. One, which is pesticide detox. It's according to the list, but I think John Crane is right. You see, the problem is if you're running these other frequencies in combination with something else you're trying to address, you want to make sure everything is positive offset. Because you might be undoing, the work of something else you're trying to address. In other words, say 727.5 was anti-cancer and say it worked. Maybe you're hitting that mortal oscillatory rate. And if you're running other frequencies and they're going negative, maybe you're re-helping the cancer cells again, or other viruses or anything. So you want to have everything positive offset. So this is a crystal controlled microprocessor that's accurate, that's right on the frequency, and it's all positive offset. So it's a step above. It's taking John Crane's work, and it should be improving it. It'd be interesting if it worked a lot better. It'd be interesting if it worked in severe cases. I don't know if it would. See, it's not Royal Rife. It's John Crane's assistant because he wasn't using the radio waves. They couldn't be transmitting radio waves at the time due to the Federal Communications Board, whatever it was. But the My Zapper, or many zappers in one, just looking at the John Crane frequencies, it has the 1, the 7.9, the 4, 20, very, very important frequency. Very, very important. 72, this is another one that's very important. 95. See, it hits all these, plus many more. The 120, 428, 432, 440, 465. Very, very important frequency. Like I was listing, 20, 465. Then he's got 500, 600, 625, 650. That's all in that little device. See, John Crane was selling one pad-type machine at a pop, like I think for several $100s back, 20-something years ago or whatever it was. But, then you got 660, 664. I guess he was selling them back in the 60s. What am I talking about? That's probably 50 years ago. It has all these frequencies in it. The My Zapper has a lot. And it's 727.5. I think it's listed at 727, but that's covers all that. That's a very, very important one. 776, it's in there. 784, 787, very, very important one. 800, very, very important. 802, very, very important. 880, very, very important. That's all in that My ParaZapper. 1,000, 1,500, 1,500, 1,550, 1,552, 1,600. See, it's hitting all. It's very well designed. 2008, 2050, 2,100. And this is another big one for cancer. See, cancer is all. See, John Crane took this off the Royal Rife thing. Now, like I said, I think one of the problems is he was varying the voltage positive and negative, just worrying about the frequency. Hulda Clark later found out, don't vary the voltage negative. This My Zapper only goes positive offset, period. I'm interested enough. This is brand new stuff. I mean, this is a big antiviral one here. Immune system stimulation, Hep C, AIDS, circular stasis, dental infections. 2480 is a big one on that too. 2720, and that covers like the My Zapper's frequencies that are in common with John Crane's earlier pad type work, and it's pretty damn thorough. It's pretty damn thorough, but it covers actually 88 frequencies. So again, I want to repeat this because this is probably where the John Crane pad type Rife machines, like I don't know if you want to call it Rife, he was Rife's assistant, failed. They failed because they're going positive and negative. I mean, they didn't always fail, but they failed in serious conditions. They failed for serious conditions. So if there's more minor conditions, there was a success rate, allegedly, or whatever you want to say. But for serious conditions, they failed. And, it might be because you're going negative on the voltage, and if you're using other frequencies that aren't what is, if you're trying other frequencies, trying to guess what it is, if you're going negative on different things, it's probably helping out a viri or whatever condition that you want to get rid of. This is work that Hulda Clark did, and I think she's 110% accurate on it. And actually, you got to take the best of information from all of them and combine it. And Bob Beck's Zapper works good. It's I'm not going to knock it, but he exaggerated it greatly. He definitely did exaggerate it as a cure-all, and it's even posted on cancertutor.com as a cure for cancer. I would not count on that puppy. If you want to try it, fine. I mean, don't count on it, because this is what's really bad about some of this stuff and the alternative medicine, whatever you want to call it, or energy medicine. They exaggerate the hell out of things, and in certain cases. But, I'm thinking right now, just keeping it simplistically, is that you want to take the work from John Crane, Royal Rife's assistant, since we can't use radio waves. Now, you can use a plasma machine, but they're high bucks. They're big bucks. You're not gonna get something like that cheap. And then there's a lot of complexity of stability of the signal and whatever the size bulb there is, and it's not that cheap. It's not that simple, and the quality and stability of all the different devices varies a great deal. So if you want to stick with the simplistic, cheap pad type quote unquote Rife machines, actually John Crane machines, this is the way to do it, and it got to be positive offset. And considering this one's very, very accurate, this is out from ParaZapper Systems made in the United States. I'm very interested. I can't wait till I get this thing because I got it on order. I'm using right now the CC2, and I think it's great because I can carry it with me anywhere I want. I mean, yeah, a frequency generator does every frequency there is, but it's not portable. It's not portable. That's the problem. That's the problem. These are portable like a cell phone. Nothing to it. And considering you got that positive offset, very, very, very important. So I just want to put this out because I don't think anybody's really driving this point home that these devices may be coming into a new era of effectiveness. Not that it's like, just testimonies and all this other garbage. There might be some more real effectiveness to it. The frequencies have to be accurate, and the frequencies have to be 100% positive offset. And you want to stick with the best knowledge that you have. The best knowledge you have is to use a lot of the main frequencies that people have been saying they work. It's not from the medical establishment, but it's people that have been saying, hey, these are one of the best ones to always try. And it looks like, it's a lot of that is right from the work of John Crane. The guy was not, even though he failed at this very seriously ill patients, this guy was not stupid. He was not stupid. It just probably needs to go up a notch with more accuracy and 100% positive offset. And, maybe there will be some more successes, in the areas where there was no successes before with seriously ill patients. But, when you're combining this with other methods, things that your doctor tells you to do, it's probably going to help a great deal. I'm hoping it would. But, the thing is, Hulda Clark says is even a positive offset will energize the white blood cells to go out on an all-out attack on your enemies, your parasites, your toxins. And the white blood cells go everywhere. She says they turn into super white blood cells. That is in a very, you could think she doesn't know anything, but I think she does. Oh, here's another big caveat. She recommends 8 hours of zapping daily until you're well. 8 hours. Bob Beck talked about 2 hours. She's talking 8 hours in cases where the person's pretty, they're sick. They're bad off. That's another interesting caveat, too. So I'm putting this out for information purposes only. But I'm trying to put out better information that has not been emphasized on the internet as much and get into a little bit more of the detail. And I hope I have not confused people because I did not. There's other videos on my channel where I kind of demonstrate the 4-point system with 3 points positive, using foot plates, using handhelds, and different things like that. But do not depend on this like a crutch. Do not use it only as an adjunct to other things that you or your doctor, feels will work best for you. But this may be more successful now with the new technology, crystal control processors, 100% positive offset, and many, many, many more frequencies included in one simple device that is basically like a Palm Pilot in your hand. It's very small little device, which makes it convenient and a lot easier to do. More hours a day. Very easy. Okay, so over and out. Just want to put this out for your information only.